Picture this. You're hiding in a basement in Lyon, France. It's 1943, the middle of World War II. You hear boots on the cobblestones outside, marching, getting closer. Your heart pounds so hard you're sure they can hear it. Then silence, worse than the footsteps, because silence means they're listening, waiting. And then your door explodes inward. This was real. This happened. Not to soldiers on a battlefield, to children, to teachers, to ordinary people who dared to resist. And the man orchestrating this terror across Lyon wasn't some distant dictator giving orders from a bunker. He was there, in the room, watching, smiling. His name was Klaus Barbie, the Butcher of Lyon. Before we go deeper into this darkness, ask yourself something. How does an ordinary man become a monster? What transforms a human being into something that enjoys inflicting pain? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe the world must never forget what happened during World War II, hit subscribe right now. Lyon, 1942. World War II had already devoured most of Europe. The Nazi war machine rolled across the continent like a steel tsunami. France had fallen. The government surrendered. German soldiers patrolled the streets of Paris. The swastika flew over French landmarks. For many, hope died, but not in Lyon. In this southeastern French city, something dangerous was growing: the resistance. Secret networks of ordinary French citizens who refused to bow. Teachers printing illegal newspapers in their attics. Factory workers sabotaging German supply lines. Housewives hiding Jewish families behind false walls. Students gathering intelligence and passing it to Allied forces. They were shadows, ghosts, everywhere and nowhere. And the Nazis were terrified of them. Heinrich Himmler, architect of the Holocaust and commander of the SS, needed someone ruthless to crush Lyon's resistance. Not a general, not a politician. He needed a predator, someone who understood that fear is more powerful than bullets. Someone who could make people afraid to even think rebellious thoughts. He found Klaus Barbie. Born in 1913 in Germany, Barbie was utterly unremarkable. Average height, forgettable face. He wasn't a decorated war hero. He never led troops into battle. He wouldn't appear in history books as a military genius. But he had something else: complete loyalty to Nazi ideology, and a mind that understood suffering like a scientist understands mathematics. How much pain before someone breaks? How much pressure before they betray everything they love? How do you destroy not just a body but a soul? In November 1942, Barbie arrived in Lyon as head of the Gestapo, the secret police, the hunters. His orders were simple: destroy the resistance, round up every Jew, make Lyon too terrified to fight back. And he had a plan. Near Lyon's Parache train station stood an ordinary hotel, Hotel Terminus. Nothing special about it. People walked past it every day on their way to work. A few guests even stayed there during World War II, completely unaware of what existed in the building. Barbie chose it as his headquarters, but he didn't just set up an office. He transformed Hotel Terminus into something else entirely. The upper floors remained normal, but the lower levels became his laboratory, interrogation rooms with no windows where time ceased to exist, torture chambers with concrete floors permanently stained dark, cells so small you couldn't sit or stand, only crouch in agony for hours, days, weeks, rooms specifically designed to break human beings, rooms where screams echoed endlessly through the walls. Once the Gestapo dragged you through the doors of Hotel Terminus, you vanished. Most never came out, and those who did wished they hadn't. They carried the hotel with them forever, in their nightmares, in their scars, in the way they flinched at sudden sounds. Inside those walls, Barbie worked. He didn't just torture. He experimented, studied, found breaking points, tested theories. He used no sophisticated equipment, just simple tools: rope, chairs, water, dogs, cigarettes, electricity, his fists, and time. Always time. Because he learned that anticipation of pain is sometimes worse than pain itself. The sound of screams from the next room. The footsteps approaching your cell, the door opening, waiting, wondering when it starts. Simone Lagrange was 13 years old when they brought her to Hotel Terminus. 13, still a child. The Gestapo suspected her father worked with the resistance. They dragged her from her bed in the middle of the night during World War II, blindfolded her, threw her in a cell. Then Barbie came. He tore out her hair in clumps, burned her hands with cigarettes, beat her until she couldn't stand, asked for names, addresses, meeting places. She gave him nothing. A 13-year-old child stayed silent while grown men tortured her. Simone survived. Barely. She would later testify that she could still hear his voice decades after the war ended. Calm, almost friendly, asking questions while he hurt her. But Barbie's most infamous victim was Jean Moulin. If the French resistance had a face during World War II, it was Moulin's. A former government official who rejected surrender and built one of the most effective resistance networks in occupied Europe. The Nazis hunted him obsessively. He was a symbol. While Moulin remained free, hope remained alive. June 1943. Barbie received intelligence about a resistance meeting in a suburb near Lyon. He personally led the raid, burst into the house, and there, among the captured resistance fighters, was Jean Moulin, the man himself, Barbie's greatest prize. What happened next in Hotel Terminus became legend. For weeks, Barbie tortured Moulin personally, trying to extract names, networks, safe houses, everything. He beat him until his face was unrecognizable, broke his bones, pushed him to the absolute edge of death, and then pulled him back just to start again. Other prisoners heard Moulin's screams through the walls, day after day, night after night. Moulin never broke, not once. Despite everything Barbie did to him, Jean Moulin never gave up a single name. He died shortly after being deported to Germany, his body destroyed but his silence intact. Barbie wrote in his report with obvious pride that he had struck at the head of the Hydra. But the truth was darker. Moulin's silence proved something Barbie never understood, that the human spirit, when driven by purpose, can endure anything, that there are things stronger than fear. Lyon changed under Barbie's reign during World War II. The city held its breath. People whispered instead of talked, trusted no one, disappeared into their homes. Resistance fighters worked in complete isolation, knowing a single mistake meant not just their death, but their family's death too. Barbie's presence was everywhere. In the sudden arrests, in the bodies found in the Rhone River, in the screams that sometimes echoed from Hotel Terminus late at night, in the way people's eyes darted nervously on the streets. But Barbie wasn't satisfied just hunting resistance fighters. In April 1944, as World War II entered its final year, he ordered a raid on a children's home in the village of Izieu. 44 Jewish children lived there, most under 10 years old, hidden away from the Holocaust. Safe, or so everyone thought. Barbie sent trucks. His men dragged those children from their beds, ripped them from their caretakers' arms, loaded them like cargo. The youngest was 4 years old. 4. Still believed in fairy tales and happy endings. Along with the children, they arrested the 7 adults caring for them. They were all deported to Auschwitz. 42 of the children were murdered in the gas chambers immediately upon arrival. Only 1 adult survived to tell the story. This wasn't war. This wasn't strategy. This was calculated, systematic evil. Barbie ordered it personally, signed the papers, sent children to their deaths, and went home to dinner. As World War II ended and Allied forces closed in, Barbie fled. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. He didn't face justice. Not immediately. American intelligence recruited him, used him as an informant during the Cold War, helped him escape to Bolivia, gave him a new identity, protected him. The Butcher of Lyon lived comfortably in South America for decades, built a new life, a business, a family. While his victims still woke screaming from nightmares, Barbie enjoyed sunshine and freedom. While Simone Lagrange still bore her scars, Barbie grew old peacefully. But survivors never forgot. Nazi hunters never stopped searching. In 1983, after years of relentless pressure, Bolivia finally extradited him to France, and in 1987, Klaus Barbie stood trial. Not as a soldier, not as a man following orders, as a criminal, a war criminal guilty of crimes against humanity. The courtroom became a stage for World War II's ghosts. Survivors faced him for the first time since Hotel Terminus, testified about what he did, showed their scars, told their stories. Simone Lagrange, now an adult, looked into his eyes and spoke. Others followed, one after another, their voices strong despite their tears. Barbie showed nothing. No remorse, no regret, no humanity. He sat there as if bored by the proceedings, as if their pain meant nothing, as if those 44 children from Izieu were just statistics in a report. The court convicted him. Crimes against humanity, life in prison. He died there in 1991, 60 years after World War II ended. Some say justice finally came. Others say it came too late. That decades of comfortable life in Bolivia could never balance the scales against what he did in Lyon. Hotel Terminus still stands today. People walk past it every day. Most have no idea what happened there during World War II. But some remember. Survivors, their children, their grandchildren. They remember that evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it looks like an ordinary man in a neat uniform. They remember that silence is complicity, that looking away enables atrocity, that just following orders is never an excuse. And they remember that even in humanity's darkest hour, even in Hotel Terminus's torture chambers, even facing Klaus Barbie himself, some people refused to break. Jean Moulin stayed silent. Simone Lagrange gave no names. The resistance kept fighting. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing defiance despite terror. Do you think justice came too late for Klaus Barbie? Can we ever truly hold monsters accountable when decades pass before they face consequences? Tell us what you think in the comments below. And if you believe these stories from World War II must be told, that the victims must be remembered, that history's darkest chapters must never be forgotten, then subscribe to this channel right now. Because in remembering, we honor those who suffered. And in telling their stories, we make sure it never happens again.